14, but I was Singles for Christ back then, 1996, which is 30 years, exact anniversary this year. And God has blessed us with two sons, Ranber and Zeo. And whenever people hear that I am preparing to become a permanent deacon, they often congratulate me or smile. But deep inside, I sometimes whisper to God that only a street child understands. It's a feeling of wondering if anyone is waiting for you. The streets of General Santos became my home. The people on the streets became my family. Unfortunately, they also became my teachers. The streets taught me that drinking was normal. So I joined every drinking spree. They taught me how to smoke weed, stone. I joined every pot session. They taught me that if someone disrespects you, you fall. As most children do to escape the clutch of poverty, I was in a dichotomy between good and evil. Little by little, that became my life. At that time, I thought I was simply a young man, desperately looking for love in all the wrong places. Many nights I laughed together with friends. Many nights we drank until sunrise. Many nights I convinced myself that this was happiness. But when everyone has gone home, when the noise disappeared, when I was left alone, the emptiness was still there. Nothing changed. But thanks be to God. God's grace, Amara's brother, Brother Crispin Bitita, who died last May 13 this year, Notre University back then, rescued us and from the street was able to start a Street Children Foundation in our city to look after the vulnerable children like me. That's where I became like I started nursing diligently while working just to survive. There were the days I was somehow God carried me through. I received my degree in nursing in 1994, and that's where I met my wife as well. People thought I had finally made something of myself, but only I knew my family. She came from a non-practicing Christian half Muslim family and became a born-again Christian when she came here in the UK. Instead of having one service to go during weekend, one in the Catholic Church and again in a born-again Christian church. And that's where argument and debate about our faith started. And that's when I started to study our faith and defend the United Kingdom last 2004, like future for our children. Work became busy. Everything looked fine. But every now and then, my past would haunt me and visit me. Sometimes I would ask myself, if people knew who I really was, accept me, then one day our parish priest suddenly died. Found him after 3 days, frozen in his car. I had only been a sacristan for 1 week in our church in St. Martin de Porres, and the parish was struggling because there were not enough priests in our diocese. So someone had to help, and without really thinking, I volunteered. For almost 1 year, I served 50 different priests coming from all over. And nearly every day, I stood close to the altar. And every day I remembered where I had come from. And sometimes after everyone had gone home, I would stay and just me, the silence, and Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. Those of my life. I remember whispering, Lord, after everything I've done, why would you still allow me to stand this close to your altar and your table? I never heard an answer, but every morning was still there. The altar was still waiting. It was as though Jesus keeps saying, come anyway. Then God did something I never expected. Rina, my wife, has fully embraced the Catholic faith. The Rosary became part of our daily life. The Eucharist became the center of our family. And then another surprise came. Our eldest son, Randall, finished civil engineering. He worked for 2 years, and we thought we knew his future. He's gonna get married after that. No, one day he told us, Dad and Mom, I think God is calling me to become a priest. We cried, not because we are sad, especially me, but because I couldn't understand God's mercy. I keep asking, Lord, how can a son of someone like me become your priest? Today, he will continue his formation in Rome in September. And now, as I'm finishing my formation in diaconate, sometimes it still feels unreal. I keep asking myself, Lord, how can this, your prodigal son, a runaway, a young man whose life revolved around drinking spree, but being invited to serve at the altar in your table? Not because I earn it, not because I deserve it, but simply because God never stopped loving me. We joined Couples for Christ in 2014, and what began as an invitation in the Christian Life program became a life-changing journey for our entire family. Over the years, God blessed us with this opportunity in different capacities, including as a unit leader, as a safeguarding representative, and now coordinator for winning home. So CFC is another home to us. They simply welcome us, they journeyed with us, they encouraged us, and they became another reminder that God truly prepares a place at His table for those who know they don't deserve it. Today, I don't still think myself as worthy. I simply think of myself as loved, truly loved, by a God who never gave up on His wayward child. Loved by a God who kept searching for a runaway, for a lost sheep. Loved by God who saw beyond my sins and my failures. And every time I stand before the altar, I can only say, Lord, thank you for saving a man like me. As St. Paul said, His grace is enough for you, for power is made perfect in weakness. It is in this promise, my brothers and sisters, that gives me the courage to continue. I know that God does not call me because I am worthy. He calls me because He is faithful. And in this moment, I would like to pass and end my sharing and give the microphone to my wife.
would like to thank you all for taking time to listen and for giving us the chance to share. I would like to humbly ask for your prayers to remember Brother Oliver as he prepares for his the next year, and for my son Renver and all the seven for their priestly formation, and carry them through, that they may always find joy, peace, and most of all courage to follow Christ, and a faithful heart to remain faithful in serving Him. And with this, may God be praised.